What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a Chi-Town Blitz slash Six-Man Blitz episode. We got a great episode for you guys today. We got a special guest, our NBA analyst. But today, there's no NBA season, so we're all NFL talk today. Mr. Ryan Wynn, how we doing today?
Always doing good, fellas. Thank you for having me. I'm ready to talk some shit with y'all. So let's get to it.
Let's get it. He was happy, his fantasy team went crazy week one. All the messages in the chat, he was active. Lickback was going crazy this week. Big winner in fantasy. What do you got? What are some teams you guys think were some winners in week one? We'll get into losers after. Who do you think had a good week one?
From a player perspective or team?
Team perspective.
Okay. Let the guest go first.
From a team perspective, man, I think the Bears, man, they didn't really play well, but the fact that the Bears were able to pick up that win the way that they did it, man, it showed that we don't even need offense to win games. If we could score touchdowns on special teams and on defense, I mean, you're talking about a team that's kind of similar to what the Jets were last year, how the Jets they were in every game because of the defense. If we could be in every game because of our defense, man, I think the sky's the limit. So I'm going to shout out to the hometown team, the Bears, man. I think they play.
Fuck with that. Yeah, because good teams, no matter what happens, good teams, they win games, No matter what the circumstances is. Miss Savone Biles' husband, he made the block. He got the fumble, took it to a touchdown on the punt. Daniel Hardy got the block on that. Okay. So that's a good reason we picked him up on the 53-man roster. So special teams, Tyreek Stevenson, his interception. So just plays like that, whatever it takes. A win is a win. So I like that pick. I think Derek Carr, his ass just picked him up in fantasy. Derek Carr and the Saints. Derek Carr last year, first season with the Saints, he was ass. All right, but this year they got Clinton Kubiak, Shanahan guy. He had this offense looking really good. They had Shaheed in the backfield, Taysom Hill at right next to the quarterback. So the scheme and the creativity is there offensively, and Derek Carr showed out in a big way.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Detroit. I think what they were able to do against a formidable opponent in the Rams was really impressive. And you just seen they look a lot more complete year over year. So I think they're going to be the team to beat when it comes to the NFC.
I like it. Another winner I had, J.K. Dobbins. Now, every year, he's a guy taking fantasy. Every year, his ass is 3 straight years, torn Achilles or torn ACL. And he had a 60-yard run, a 30-yard run. I think it was like 10 carries. He had 100-some yards, 130 yards rushing. So it was a big day for him. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan kind of, culture with this Chargers team. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to play defense. And we saw it in the first game against the Raiders. Dobbins went off, and happy for him. Not taking his ass for fantasy again, though.
Michael, if he had some speed, he would have scored way more touchdowns. I mean, he was getting hogged down. Like, a couple times that he broke loose, like, it was just him and nobody in front of him. But they was catching his ass from behind. Like, he could not break off on them. And you could tell the Achilles is probably a little tender, a little sore still. So hopefully he can get his legs underneath him and break one of those all the way to the end zone.
For sure.
We're going to talk about this team a little later, but another winner I had was the Chiefs. I feel like the game against the Ravens, people were expecting the Ravens to come out, win, get their revenge. But the Chiefs, man, Xavier Worthy, having a new weapon like him, Hollywood Brown, defensively, Chris Jones was active, and the defense looked pretty good against the Ravens, except for when Likely was going off in the, fourth quarter. So I think them coming into this year, people saw them as a team that could be a Super Bowl favorite. Maybe they are a team that other teams are trying to take down, but they look a lot better than they did last year in terms of having weapons. So I thought that was a winner for week one. How about losers? Who's some losers we feel like?
Shit, you got to start with the Browns. I mean,
Deshaun Watson, man. Hey,
I didn't realize they had 2 backup tackles starting, but that kind of makes sense. But
6 sacks.
The biggest thing I took away from that was it was late in the fourth, and Deshaun went to help up one of his O-linemen off the ground, and dude swatted his hand out of his face.
I'm going to get up myself.
So it just goes to show, I don't even know if niggas in the locker room fuck with him like that.
Yeah.
Not to mention the people that's supposed to be blocking for you.
That's very telling.
That's weird, and I mean, it makes sense.
And I think just in that game, the Browns against Cowboys, nothing went right for them offensively.
No.
Deshaun had some bad plays, but Amari Cooper had a couple drops. Receivers were dropping the ball, and then 6 sacks. And I think there was like something where like the Cowboys was like 20 quarterback hits, 20 quarterback pressures or some shit. So it was bad all around. Micah Parsons was in the backfield the whole game, damn near. So just from everything considered, it was a bad performance from everybody with there. But Deshaun Watson, it doesn't look good. I know his dad passed away 2 days before the game, but I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, how many games he got left before they throw famous Jameis in there? A fantastic leader. I feel like the tackles are gonna, like, people in the locker room would buy into him a little more than Deshaun.
I would say as soon as they lose to a team that's supposed to smash, that's when they'll bring in the preacher. They're gonna bring Jameis in after that. Absolutely. Makes no sense.
And the crazy thing is, the Browns were favored in this game.
Yeah, I was high on the Browns coming into. I picked the Browns.
Got blown the fuck out. So
Yeah.
I would say a quarter. It really depends what the schedule looks like. But if you go into division matchups and you start stinking up the joint, niggas is gonna pull you right up out of there.
They're trying to. I've seen some people because another case went down on them. I think that's the only way they can get out of that contract is if there's like a suspension on them or something the league does something about it. But apparently the league's not going to do anything about it.
If I was the Browns, I would have leaked that.
Same old Deshaun. Tell us something new. I got 2 though. I got two losers this week. The first loser I'm going to call out is probably one that everybody has been. That's the New York Giants. The way that they played, I don't know if it's they or Daniel Jones, but that's pretty bad. Pretty bad to lose to the Vikings the way that they lost to when they don't even have Kirk Cousins anymore.
Sam Darnold looked good in that game.
He did. But did he look good because he's Sam Darnold, or did he look good because he's playing against the Giants? That's the question we got to ask and we got to figure out.
Okay.
That's my first loser. My second loser, who I think is even more of a loser in this case, because we expect the Giants to be bad, right, is the Cardinals. Cardinals had a big, huge lead on the Bills. Kyler Murray, you would think that he doesn't know Marvin Harrison's on his team. I think Marvin had maybe 2 or maybe
3 targets. Yeah.
1 catch. You can't
4 yards.
You can't have that. Like, even if he's not getting catches, he has to at least get targets. You drafted him for a reason. And they were passing a lot. So it's like you got to throw it in his direction a few times. You can't have 3 targets. It's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. Greg Dortch can't lead the team in yards and targets, but they seem like they had a success other places, but nah, Marvin Harrison. And if you took him in fantasy, I know your ass about to crash out like the one dude that committed that crime.
Another loser I'm gonna say is the Jags, man. I think they jagged one off real long pause. But
that's crazy.
2 plays that just can't happen. Number 1, fumble in the end zone by ETN. That solidifies the game. You beat a Miami team that's going to be a playoff team. And then the 4th and 1 on your own, like 30 something. Like, what the fuck is we doing? And you run a jet sweep. Like, that's
some Luke Getsy shit.
You gotta have balls like that if your O line is dominating up front, and it's like, well, shit. There's no, like the tush push, for example, last year and the year before, where it's like this is gonna work regardless of where we're at on the field.
Yeah, that's a good pick though.
That's a terrible ass decision by the coach, and I wonder when we're gonna start talking about hot seat.
Doug Peterson definitely gonna be on that shit. If Trevor Lawrence was playing well too in this game.
Yeah, he didn't do nothing crazy.
Game manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But another team for a loser, I feel like, or we could specific player, Kirk Cousins. He did not look good. That Achilles injury looked like it was bothering him. Had a couple, bad throws too. I'm interested to see because they got the Eagles this next week. They got the Chiefs after that. They start 0-3. Do you look at Michael Penix Jr., a guy that doesn't, I feel like they stopped playing him in the preseason just maybe for, Kirk Cousins, if he's a shell of himself. I know you paid him the bag, but you still have this young guy that could probably facilitate the offense a little better with him being healthier. I don't know, something to consider.
Not after 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think 3 weeks is too soon.
Yeah, you paid the man too much money. And I had a feeling they was going. I didn't think they were going to lose, but I definitely thought it was going to be a lot closer than the lines suggested. Reason is, you don't just throw a bunch of money and have all these new pieces and just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Especially with the lack of preseason camaraderie everybody had across the board. But
That's true.
specifically Atlanta, I mean, did Kirk play at all this preseason?
No.
And his old ass is just a statue up there, much like A-Rod was on Monday.
Yeah.
It's like you can't play a good pass rush and be stuck in the court in the pocket.
And
you could.
Both of them are coming off Achilles injuries too. They're a little nervous to take a hit. You're a little hesitant. Do you want to go down?
I was nervous.
Leonard Floyd sacked him again too in the game.
Hey, sometimes you got to give credit where credit is due. And when we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, they got T.J. Watt on their team. So it's never
he was hooping too.
Them like they are never going to give up a ton of points with that D line, with him in particular. So I say give Kurt a couple weeks to get his feet wet again and give him a chance to play against an average defense and not maybe arguably one of the best defenses. So.
Okay, that's fair. Perfect segue though. I mean, the Steelers, T.J. Watt. The Steelers just named Justin Fields the starter for this week. It's going to be interesting because Russell Wilson, this is his former team. I was expecting a revenge game type thing, but Russell Wilson was limited in practice. I don't know if he's going to play this Sunday or be able to go, but Justin Fields, he won week 1 against Atlanta. It was 6 field goals to win the game, but could Russell Wilson have his job back when he's healthy, or what are we thinking? Justin Fields doing his thing? Does he keep the job?
It's going to be 100% based on Justin. You got to ask him that question. If he plays well and they continue to win, it's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. And he had a couple good throws. George Pickens and him, that's a nice little duo. He had a couple good throws to Pickens down the field, getting first downs with his legs. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over, he doesn't have these interceptions and stuff, he just extends plays with his legs, has a 50-yard bomb to, George Pickens, they're going to win. That defense is that good. So, I don't know.
You asking for a lot, though, for Justin not to have no turnovers. So
true.
He's going to fumble. He's going to throw interceptions. It's the nature of the beast. And to Huff's credit, if Steelers win, Justin plays. It's simple as that. If they win versus Denver, best believe they're going to start him for week 3. If they win week 3, they're going to start him again. Now, once if they go and lose 1 or 2 in a row, they'll make the switch. But until they lose, Justin will be the starter even when Russell comes back. It's a no-brainer in football.
Okay.
Unless it's Mahomes.
Yeah, and if you look at the pass selection, every pass was on
dink and dunks. You see the passing chart?
Yes.
It was like screen passes, a 5-yard pass, and then just one 50-yard pass.
In the middle.
Yeah. It was very strategic, but maybe that's how you win. Maybe that's Arthur Smith creating a game plan.
Statue, but if you're playing a better offense, that many fucking field goals ain't gonna get you a dub.
True. Denver, it'll be enough to beat. It'll be enough to beat Denver. But once they start playing teams like the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Bengals, if they get their shit together, it won't be enough for those high-powering offenses. Did y'all see Russell Wilson in full pads as a DMP? As somebody that was already not cleared to play for the game. He has full pads on.
A third quarterback on the roster.
He went through pregame warm-ups too. He went through pregame warm-ups too. Full pads.
Yeah.
he
trying to get prepared.
He knew he wasn't playing. Full pads on.
Well, he preparing when he does play.
That shit's crazy to me. It was
dressing up for prom, ain't even going to prom. He dressing up just to take the picture.
That shit's crazy. I mean, but it speaks to like, all right, you see why people are calling them corny. They don't like, what I mean? The what's been placed on him from other players and what people have been saying. You see it with shit like that.
I don't have a problem with that. I feel like
It's hilarious.
Parent,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, not next this week, but the following, when he's healthy, he want to be
Locked in, ready.
prepared for that first game for him.
Okay. Now, though, Justin Fields, do we think Justin Fields could take the Steelers to the playoffs? With how this offense, we talked about it, high-powering offense is not going to be enough, but will it be enough for the playoffs, you think?
I mean, they went to the playoffs without his ass.
As long as TJ Watt healthy. Yeah. And Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, Mason Rudolph is trash. Who's the other guy? Guy from Pitt.
Kenny Pickett, yeah.
Kenny Pickett. Like,
He was about to get benched as the second string quarterback for Tanner McKee or something in Philly. But Jaden was we were texting about it. Justin Fields might be the best Steelers quarterback since Big Ben when he was his last couple decent years, which is crazy to think. Crazy
That's
to, you know.
sad, because we had Dave Fields on the Bears and we couldn't win more than 3 games.
Yeah. That's true. But in the AFC North, I mean, for them to be a playoff team, I think Cleveland, if it looks anything like week 1, I feel like it's going to be a bad year for them. The Bengals, they lost to the Patriots week 1. So you have to be the second team to make the playoffs in the AFC North. So they have to be the second best team in the AFC North. And then you got to compete with other teams for the wild card. Jets, I don't know if they Salah, he's on the hot seat. Because defensively, the 49ers, they scored on every drive. And all the numbers against like yards per carry, yards, receiving yards, all that stuff. The Jets were last as a defense. So,
for the running back from San Fran, I forgot his name.
Jordan Mason.
Jordan Mason. He had the most yards before contact than anybody in the league on Monday. So it's like, you can't give a quality running back that type of leeway and expect to win.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Get off the field. I'd rather have maybe what?
You could have rushed for 80 to 100 in that game.
Easily.
Them holes was big.
Easily.
I could have got at least 50. I could have got 50 easy running behind you.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about the Niners O-line, but the
scheme too.
Jets D-line. You can't pay Hassan Reddick. You can't get him to play.
Oh, that was a good week for him then. Seeing they didn't have no pass rush. Yeah,
pass rush wasn't not there either. Brock Purdy had a pretty comfortable pocket
all day.
Game. Yeah, they just couldn't stop the run.
Sad, but so I think the Steelers, they'll be able to get in somewhere if they just continue playing elite defense. Justin Fields continues connecting with Pickens every now and then, extended plays. If the run game gets going, Najee Harris, Cordell Patterson. So I feel like if they stick to what they're doing, they could have an opportunity to get in the playoffs. But a lot of things got to go right at the same time because the AFC is a monster. So, week 1 was a little concerning for some AFC teams, but we'll see how it all plays out. Let's, preview some games. Huff's, biggest games of the week. That's the segment. Bengals versus Chiefs. What are our thoughts on this? Every time these two meet up, it's a good game. But Joe Burrow, he could barely pick up a Gatorade bottle. So I don't know. I'm concerned on him and his health, and Jamar Chase. T. Higgins might not play in this game. The Chiefs defense is going to get after them. Offensive line struggled against the Patriots. So
T. Higgins,
this could be a blowout, honestly. It could.
Chiefs.
Okay.
Hollywood Brown playing?
He didn't practice today.
I mean, even if he don't play, they don't need him to play. They
don't.
It's a nice.
This is not going to really be a. I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout, but it's going to be more than one possession. I think the Chiefs win by maybe 11 points, maybe 10 points. Okay. Cincinnati don't stand a chance, unfortunately. They should, but they don't.
That's the tough part. And the Bengals every year they start 0-2, 0-2 every year, and they either finish the season hot, win a bunch of games in a row. But this is a tough, matchup after having a disappointing week 1 against the Patriots. Jamar Chase got locked down by Christian Gonzalez. It was crazy. Joe Burrow didn't look right. So I just don't see things getting better for him in this game against the Chiefs team that is coming in, and it's the best Chiefs team we've seen in a while. And the Chiefs have won back-to-back Super Bowls. This is the best roster they're bringing out to the game against the Bengals. So, yeah, I don't see the Bengals having a shot either. 28-17 is a good prediction. I'll probably go, say 31-14. I think it's a three score game.
Spank that ass.
Yeah, they're gonna spank their ass. They're gonna spank them.
But I did see James Jones talking about how overrated Joe Burrow is, and he's only as good as the weapons around him. Which, I mean, you could argue it, and that's any quarterback.
Any quarterback ever. But some quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes is
Josh Allen, Lamar. They don't need top tier talent out on the edge.
Justin Fields
to have success. What?
You can't. Hey, bud, try.
We'll see. He's got an opportunity. He's got the team around him.
He got Pickens. He got Pat Fiermo.
That preseason MVP for him.
Okay. So now let's switch over to some Bears talk. What we've been waiting for. Bears versus Titans recap. What were some of our takeaways from this game? I know it was a tough watch in the first half, but then, things picked up defensively. Special teams picked up. What were your takeaways, Ryan?
My biggest takeaway was that we have to establish a run game. Like,
we got away from it. Yeah,
we have to establish it. Like, Swift barely got any touches. I can't remember us. I mean, maybe the early fourth quarter, but I can't remember him catching like a swing pass or a screen pass. Like, we got to get Swift in space. He has to be more involved in the offense because, one, you're paying him. Two, he just came off an 1,000-yard season when he started the year off as a backup in Philadelphia. So I think that was my biggest takeaway. The Bears have to establish a run game. And the second takeaway, which is probably the biggest one, is the preseason wasn't a fluke for defense. That shit is real. That shit is legit.
Yeah. Last year, too.
Defense.
Yeah, and
it's gotten better, too, with the acquisition.
Daryl Taylor.
Taylor's a monster. He's
2 sacks.
He closes on the ball.
Bro, every time, I seen him in the backfield a lot, generating a lot of pressure. Yes. If you would have told me we would have had 3 sacks and none of them would be Sweat because Sweat was banged up in this game, I would have been like, wow. Dexter had a sack as well. Billings, his ass was moving, bro. He was creating a lot of pressure too.
Yeah.
He was an underrated performer, but more on Caleb. Are we concerned about this performance, or what are we thinking about this?
My biggest concern is the offensive line. We
Shelton
get better enough up front, specifically at center and the interior. And you're looking at who we got to face in our division.
Kenny Clark.
That's got to be addressed by
Hutchinson.
The time we get into division play because we're not that good enough, and Caleb's not big enough to throw over 300-pound niggas. You've seen multiple balls got tipped. Pause.
They did what?
It really, that also played a factor in the run game.
Yeah. Because Simmons
10 carries for 30 yards. Wasn't that supposed to be our identity?
Running the ball.
What the fuck is we doing?
Yeah, and when you have...
Go ahead, pick up the phone.
Who we gonna trade for though? There ain't nobody getting rid of quality offensive linemen. It's gonna be tough.
Man, it is.
But
let's get K-Dub over that.
That's a good option.
Getting ran over by linebackers. Like, what the fuck? How you get run over by a linebacker?
It was bad. But I do think Caleb Williams, some of the throws he was missing, I feel like it was a lot of timing. And let's say Keenan Allen catches that touchdown in the end zone, or, he makes that throw to Keenan Allen, that wide open throw. The game looks a lot different and you're a lot happier about how the offense looks. So it just came down to a couple plays. So offensively, we have too much talent, I feel like, for this to happen ever again. Like a performance like this, I think Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, we steered away from the run game. Swift, Khalil Herbert, I wouldn't even mind Valence Jones getting a couple tosses. I know we wanted him excommunicated from the game.
No tosses.
Okay, handoffs. All right. But just any type of thing to get the run game going. But yeah, we have a lot of talent on this offense. Roma Dunze, he's dealing with the injury, but it's not a significant injury. He's probably going to just miss this game. Who are some guys from this offense that you think are going to bounce back the hardest? Who do you think is going to have a huge game next week or this week?
I think Swift, if I had to guess. I think they watch film and they understand that they dropped the ball on that, and I think they're going to try to make up for it and get him a little bit more involved in the offense. Like I said, whether it be swing passes, screens, whatever, you got to get the ball to him in space and give him opportunity to work a little bit. But like to y'all credit, like you said, that comes down to O-line as well. Like they have to block. Or can't run the ball, right? But yeah, I think Swift's going to have a big week.
Okay. And the thing with the offensive line this last week against the Titans, there were good performances from the tackles, Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright
played really well.
He didn't give up any pressures in this game. So it was really all interior-wise. Nate Davis and Bates were rotating, but they had pretty decent games according to PFF. So honestly, moving forward, I would put Bates at center, Davis, Jenkins, and see how that does for a drive or two. See how they hold up, because the Texans, this is going to be a tough matchup. More on the outside, defensive lineman Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, because they don't have an interior guy like a Simmons or even Tavondre Sweat. So that's what I would do in this next game. But defensively against the Titans, defense, they stole the show. You already talked a little bit about it. Is this the best defense in the NFL?
I wouldn't say that, just because. I mean, we definitely have the potential to, because of the addition of Taylor, and I think that was the missing piece. Our back end is as good as anybody's.
Secondary wise, I don't see a lot of teams better than us in the secondary.
As good as anybody's.
Linebackers too.
The missing piece was the D line, and they showed the fuck out. So
yeah,
we're in the conversation.
Oh yeah, and I think it's the top 5 right now. Year plays out. Because with the Steelers, they have Highsmith and TJ Watt. TJ Watt's a game changer. But with this game, the next game's moving forward. I mean, like last year, the last 7 games of the season, first in turnovers, first in sacks, first in all these categories. And what's crazy to me is how do they always get these fluky interceptions and stuff? It just seems like it's just made to happen, in a game. Like that Tyreek Stevenson interception. DeMarcus Walker, that's another guy that was underrated. He played really well in this game. So just always having these interceptions that just happen out the blue, or these sacks, these game-changing plays. The defense took over. And I really like the mindset out of the second half, coming into the second half. Like offense, they got nothing going for them. Defensively, they're like in the locker room, all right, yeah, we're going to take this over. We're going to win this game. We're going to put Caleb Williams on our back in his rookie debut. We're going to make shit happen on special teams. We're going to make shit happen defensively. We're going to get after Will Levis. We're going to change this game around. So I feel like that was a really good sign for this season. So I think if they keep playing like this, defensive line, if they get sacks without Sweat having that much of an impact, best defense in the NFL.
I want to go back to your question earlier about who I think is going to bounce back. I think Keenan Allen.
Keenan
is going to have a monster day. Number one, obviously, DJ Moore is going to get majority of the attention from the defense.
Yeah.
But if you look at the missed plays last Sunday, he could have easily had 3 tuds. The one he dropped, the one that got blocked by a Russian linebacker.
Yeah.
And then the wheel route that Caleb missed on. So I don't anticipate that happening again.
So Keenan, he's going to have a big day?
He easily had 2 tuds and 60, 70 yards, depending on how far he takes that wheel.
Now, for me, I say DJ has the best game. And Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Derek Stingley Jr. is going to have to choose one of them. It could be DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, but Jeff Okudah, the other corner they have, I don't see him having a lot of success. I see one of them having a big game. DJ Moore, I think, though, is a bigger deep play threat, so I see DJ Moore having the best game. 2 touchdowns, 100 yards receiving. Hopefully, because I got him on my fantasy team. But yeah, I think the way we're gonna beat this Texans team is those big plays, and we saw the Colts have a field day with those against them, and that was why the game came down to the last drive. But back to the Bears defense for a little before we preview the Bears Texans game. Tyree Stevenson won NFC Player of the Week, NFC Defensive Player of the Week, and Jalen Johnson had a good performance. They held those weapons for the Titans. Calvin Ridley had 3 catches and 50 yards, and that was it for the weapons for the Titans. So the secondary, Jalen Johnson, is he the best corner in the NFL? And then Tyreek Stevenson, where do you rank him as a corner in the league?
I would say, why not? Why can't he be? Even if people not gonna say he's not number one, he's at minimum top 3. I would personally put him at 1. I don't know if I'm being a little biased or not, but he's proven that he's a superstar. So I'll take him over everybody else.
Okay, I mean, yeah, like what does everybody else do better than him? Specifically, I mean, he's a good tackler, lockdown corner. He's getting the interceptions now. So what is he not doing? What am I missing?
Yeah, if you compare him to Sauce Gardner, I'm cool where I'm at. If you say I got to choose between the two, I'm going to stick with who I got. Now, to answer your question about Tariq, I think every time what usually happens offensively is if you got a all-pro corner, you usually throw the other way. Whereas in our situation, you really can't do that.
No, you can't.
Tyreek has been able to capitalize on tons of interceptions.
4 last year in his rookie year.
Last year. So I think just being able to build off the momentum, now marrying the pass rush with the back end, shit, we could have 5, 6 Pro Bowlers. Fuck you mean?
And that's the best defense in the NFL then. But let's preview Bears versus Texans now. One question I had though, with the Titans having weapons, the secondary for the Bears locking them down, Texans is a different animal. Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. How do you see this Bears secondary matching up against the Texans' weapons?
I think they match up well, but I don't know if I'll pick the Bears in this one, unfortunately, especially as a Bears fan. I think C.J. Stroud is way, way too talented. With those pieces, I mean, those pieces are 10 times better than what the Titans got.
Yes.
I still don't see it being like a super high-scoring game, but I would probably say like 24-21, maybe 21-18 or something like 17, something like that. I'm gonna unfortunately have to take Houston in this one though.
I would be okay with that though. A 3-point loss, like that shows we're being competitive against one of the best teams in the AFC. So I'd be okay with that.
The biggest question mark, I think we match up pretty well in the back end, but the pass rush got to get home.
Yes.
Because if we go out there and play a lot of zone, he's going to pick us to shreds if he has time. So that's going to be my biggest concern, but I could see this being a higher scoring game.
Really?
Yeah, number one, Texans defense didn't look as good as it should have last game, and Jeff Okudah is on the IR. So Caleb has an opportunity to redeem himself.
Yes.
I think we can chip and help out on the edges. The hardest part was the interior when we were playing a pretty quality interior pass rush last week. So if we can hold pat both sides of the ball, whether it's our offensive line on the offense or defensive line on defense, we should make this competitive. I like us covering.
Okay. And that really, like, I don't want to see a game where we go into it, it's a competitive game and we get blown the fuck out, you know? And especially like the Chargers game. Remember that game? That was terrible. The Rams blew us out. Every time we get into Sunday Night Football, we get clapped. A lot. What is this shit?
I don't think our defense will allow us to get clapped, though. That's the thing. Like the defense.
I hope not.
Played the Chargers. Justin didn't play, right?
Yeah, Justin didn't play that game, and that was before Sweat too, I think.
Yeah, it was.
So, yeah, you're right. The defense is going to hold up well. Another thing, though, Joe Mixon. Is Joe Mixon going to be able to go off? We saw what he did against the Titans. 150 yards, bell cow, crazy numbers.
That's what I'm saying. They played really well and only won by 2.
Extremely well. Because Anthony Richardson, I was telling y'all last about Anthony Richardson. Y'all was his ass fell in the fantasy draft, but I think they'll be able to hold up really well against Joe Mixon, Andrew Billings, Dexter. He's not going to be having those holes to run through, and Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, the linebackers from hell. They're going to handle business, I think. So the only way I see the Texans beating us, really, like having a really good day against us, like they probably beat us, but like having a great day, probably I see a guy like Tank Dell having a crazy day. Somebody, because I think Nico Collins, Jalen Johnson's going to be able to be on him, Stephon Diggs. It's really tough, man. I think all across the board, we match up really well against the Texans. I just know I think they're going to win by three points. 21-24 is a good prediction. I say 24-27. But then that's like a moral victory, though. Like, we would all take that. We know what we're getting into. This is the Texans. They're a team that's going to compete for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think the goal is to shore up the offensive line and see improvement
in Caleb and
Caleb.
That's all you can ask.
Who you got in this one, Ryan?
Houston by 3.
Okay.
Yeah, but I like the Bears.
Oh, you're taking the Bears?
Yeah, I sent you.
Oh yeah. He said he was taking the Bears. But though, what is your perspective on the Bears after if they do pull off an upset against the Texans? What are you thinking? Like, is this team legit? I don't want to hear. I don't think anybody's ready to see Bears Twitter, if the Bears go and beat the Texans on Sunday Night Football. I don't think anybody's ready to see that shit.
Playoff team. Bears. If the Bears beat the Texans this weekend, I'm convinced that they will make the playoffs. There's no doubt in my mind that they will make the playoffs if they go in there, if they beat Houston this weekend.
Yes,
we got a potential to do it. You got to remember they gave up 27 points to Anthony Richardson
and the Colts. Yeah, and the Colts defense isn't as good as our defense.
Yeah,
secondary too. Like, their secondary is a little banged up, but I think if the Bears beat the Texans, there's no way you're not a playoff team, and then that's when it's like. We're more than a playoff team beating a team in the AFC like that. I just think these next 3 games are going to show us exactly what this team is. Colts, Rams, and the Texans. And then you got Carolina and all the ass teams after that. But you really are going to see what this team is in these next 3 games. You're not going to be able to beat the Texans, Rams, or Colts if we have an offensive stinker like that game on Sunday. So it's going to be really telling. Really telling. One question though I have, does this team remind you of 2018? Defensively, they're great. Could they be better than 2018? What are our thoughts?
I think better because we got Cairo Santos.
Yes.
Not worry about no double doink.
And I think Caleb's better than Mitch too.
Oh, that's no question.
Hey, there's no question.
Outside of that, the one thing we did focus on was the special teams. We played fantastic. Obviously, got the block punt, but DeAndre Carter was a great addition.
Yes, I'm glad he made the roster.
He gave us great field position the entire game.
Torrey Taylor too.
Torrey Taylor, obviously.
You know, one thing I found out too this weekend. Remember the Packers 49ers game where they beat them in the playoffs because they blocked that punt and scored a touchdown?
Yep.
Their special teams coach, that was our special teams coach now. So I'm like, hey, that's crazy. Small world.
Oh, bro.
Richard Hightower? Yeah.
That's coaching.
Blocking punts, that's all scheme.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta scheme it up, put 2 dicks in one hole, pause, and...
How did we get there?
You gotta flood it.
Okay.
You gotta flood a gap.
2 dicks in one hole.
You got 2 guys rushing one gap. One guy gets blocked, the other is free.
Man, let's talk about a gangbang.
You could explain it like that, though. That's all I'm saying.
That's what they call it in football. We got 2 dicks in one hole. It's usually a bad thing because on defense it's supposed to be a hat for a gap.
Oh, you was a special teams guy.
At
NIU, you played special teams.
They drew up a block punt for me. I was supposed to go get one. But I don't think either they didn't punt on us or they just didn't run the type of punt we needed for the call to be called.
You was gonna go get it, huh?
What? You know, they teach don't reach up like this. You gotta reach, take it off his foot. You know, niggas most niggas is super athletic but not fundamentally sound and shit like that. I was gonna be the opposite. I was gonna get there but be fundamentally sound.
Okay.
I was gonna take it off his foot.
Nothing wrong with that.
I think this defense though could be better than 2018. It just, if Sweat could have another year like he had last year, I think the pass rush, the defensive line overall is better.
Mhm.
Dexter, man, he looked good in week 1. So it all comes down to certain players for us to have a better year than 2018. But I think in terms of getting back to that excitement about the Bears, 100%. That team's, it's going to be there because 2018 was such a good fucking year. Just beat the Packers. We beat the Rams on Sunday Night Football. That's the last time we won a Sunday Night Football game. It's crazy. 2018.
Matt Nagy, Coach of the Year.
Is Nagy better than head coach than Eberflus, or Eberflus better than Nagy?
Jury's still out.
Because, hey, Nagy's cooking with the Chiefs as an offensive coordinator.
Well,
Everybody
shit.
cook over there.
I could
I could cook over there with Madden. Plays for Madden shit.
Let's finish off with one last question. Do y'all think it's bogus that Lil Wayne is not doing the Super Bowl this year?
Kendrick Lamar is scorching. The
Yes.
fuck is we talking about? I don't like that.
That's what, hey, people were mad about it. Birdman, Nicki Minaj said some shit about.
What the fuck does that mean?
All of Young Money is mad about this.
I think
They gotta remember, it's millions of people outside of New Orleans watching that motherfucking game.
Yeah.
It's not just the New Orleans. Yes, it's in New Orleans, but that's it. Motherfuckers at home is watching it on the TV. Kendrick Lamar is a bigger draw at this point in his career.
Yeah. Kendrick Lamar got
And
bangers.
Lil Wayne, there's no question.
He beat-
they not like if he never had the beef with Drake, trust me, he would not be in there. But I think if Kendrick could somehow make Lil Wayne a special guest or something, man, just bring him out, surprise people. I think that'd be dope. But
I agree.
obviously, they not like us is like the biggest song of the decade. So
Right.
they want that to be played at the Super Bowl. People gonna talk about it, so I get it. But it would be nice to see Lil Wayne do a song or two.
Yeah, he would definitely put on a show. Lil Wayne, I've seen videos of him like performing nowadays, and he's a little cooked.
Yeah.
Damn near a vegetable.
He's lining all of his dreads back in.
I've seen clips of him where his face is just like bloated as fuck.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, where he's like maybe going through whatever withdrawals or whatever it is from the drugs he's taken for years at this point. But you know,
It's tough.
It's no question who is hotter at this point.
Yeah, he's gonna put on a show. I want to see Family Ties at the Super Bowl. I want him to perform that. Baby Keem come out, but I think
Baby Keem, shit.
He's
you can
Hakeem.
expect him there.
he's Hakeem.
But I mean, when Snoop Dogg and Eminem performed, they brought out 50 Cent,
Yeah, so
Mary J. Blige.
that was a good performance, a good show.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So I think he has bangers, he has records, but people wanted Lil Wayne to perform because Drake would have been there too. And there's speculation that Jay-Z didn't want that because Jay-Z, Rock Nation, they are in charge of, who's performing at the halftime show and stuff. Because, Jay-Z don't fuck with Drake as well. So, but that's all we got for the show today, guys. Thank you, Ryan, for coming on, our NBA analyst in his football bag this time. Appreciate you guys for listening. Appreciate you guys for watching. And yeah, stay up to date with our content. We got a lot of stuff coming out, day after day, fantasy football talk, week by week previews, games of the week, all that stuff. But yeah, like I said, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. As always, peace. But this next year, I think this will be the best division in football.